and welcome back to the My Little Book Love podcast, where we talk about upcoming books, unpopular opinions, and useless info. I'm your host, Miko Books, and today we're joined by a very special guest.
Hi, guys. I'm Haley's Good Books on Instagram, aka Haley Michaela's sister.
Yeah, we have our first guest. How exciting is that? It's my sister. Today we're going to talk kind of about origin stories because, interestingly enough, my second awakening of reading, which happened after I graduated college, was with the ACOTAR books, which I've mentioned before, but I didn't read them first. Haley actually read those first.
Yeah.
And Throne of Glass and everything. So we kind of have different origin stories into reading, and we thought it'd be interesting to discuss those today.
And I also think it's interesting that a lot of people that we're mutuals with on Instagram and social media don't realize we're siblings.
I think that's probably better that way.
I think you keep it that way.
I do keep it that way. That's fine though. Okay. Anyways, let's get on the origin story. So for me, I know the earliest that I remember actually reading is like 2008. I have some of my books dated for 2008 because I went through a phase for a while where I started like putting the date in my books, I guess in case I ever wanted to know when I read those. And I think at the time I was a fast reader because I was finishing books in like 3 days, and now I can't do that. So what's that?
I still do that.
You're a fast reader. You can get through things
But also,
really quick.
I forget the entire plot of a book unless I read it multiple times.
That's what I think as well. That was a big thing about this was I don't think that I remember any of these books that made me start reading. Like, I remember the way I felt, but I don't think I know any plots. So, for me, 2008, 2009, so that's when the Twilight movie came out, and like I started reading the book before the movie came out, and it was the first time that I guess that I understood how reading a book can connect you to other people, because at the time everyone in school was waiting for their turn to check out the AR book, Twilight.
It was so revolutionary. Weird. It really pioneered a whole nother genre.
It really did. It was a crazy time because I remember the teachers being like, what? Like, why does everybody want this book?
I mean, try to think of a romantic. Is it romantic? I don't know what it classifies as.
It's okay.
But try to think of like any kind of like otherworldly, like not otherworldly. You know what I mean? Like supernatural romance book.
Yeah.
Before Twilight. Don't know. It's not there.
It felt like the first of its kind. I mean, definitely there were people that were writing it before, and nothing took off quite like Twilight did. Even with the pandemonium around the movies and stuff, it was just crazy the way that people were freaking out. But I think the book was unique because it was just like, some parts of it were boring, but even people that didn't like to read were reading it. It was just something that connected people. And at the time, my friend group, like, it helped me to make friends. We were, like, acting out scenes from the movies. We were fighting over which of the Cullens we got. I got stuck with Emmett. And that's kind of like...
You've stuck with him, though, since day one.
Honestly, it's just like the Jonas Brothers, where, you know, like, everybody picks one, and you just get whichever one. I always wanted Nick, but my friend wanted Nick. And I think at one point... I got stuck with Joe or Kevin, and I don't want either of them.
Who wants Kevin?
I don't know. People like him now, but just because he's the underdog.
He's the least problematic of them.
Yeah, I know. He's such a sweet dad. Okay. Anyways, let's get back on this. Okay, the reading. So I was talking about, for me, authors like Stephanie Meyer, Sarah Dessen, Alison Knoll. I don't know how to say her last name because it has the little 2 dots over the E, but Suzanne Collins. Those were kind of my gateway into, I guess, what I'm reading now. Because I didn't understand it at the time, but Allison had wrote this series, like the Evermore series, which I looked up to see what that was even about. Because like I said,
Wait,
I read
remember. Those too.
Yeah, it's the one, it's like a purple cover. Well, this is the purple cover with the girl with the tulip on the front.
Yep.
Evermore. Yeah. Okay. And I was reading through this to be like, what was that even about? Because I'm pretty sure that was also my first introduction into reincarnation. Do you remember that?
I don't remember the plot.
Yeah, I don't either.
Remember the plot.
Okay, so let me just read. It says, Ever Bloom. Ever is the protagonist and the narrator of the story. She lost her family in a tragic car accident and struggles to cope with her new life living with her aunt and blaming herself for her family's death and wishing it on herself. After having been confident, popular, and easygoing, she's now a recluse and often branded a freak by classmates because she can read thoughts as well as knowing parts of people's lives by touching them. She hates this. She wishes her power would be gone and she could go back to normal. Until one day, a new boy joins her class. She tries to ignore him at first, but she falls in love and her world changes. And so the guy that she meets and falls in love with is an immortal. The first one to ever exist, which is kind of far-fetched. I do not remember
We need
this.
to reread this.
I would love to. His father made an elixir that promotes everlasting life. Along with Damon knowing the recipe, he fell in love with Ever when he first met her after he and his wife separated. What? So, life after life, Ever's reincarnations were killed in accidents. And that's in quotes, so that's concerning.
Wait, it's coming back to me.
Yes.
I feel like it was very traumatic accidents.
Yeah, and he always began to lose hope before Ever appeared in his life again.
Oh, yes.
He had access to Summerland,
and they're in high school in this, right?
Yeah, they're high schoolers. And so there's this place, Everland.
Oh, yes, sorry. My reincarnated wife.
Summerland, a place where dead souls that did not cross over stay. According to the book, he is more than 600 years old.
Okay, Rowan.
Granted by his immortality, great artists like William Shakespeare, Pablo Picasso, and Vincent van Gogh have given him pieces of artwork.
Who wrote this?
This is Allison. Okay, it's Allison. It's spelled like Allison Noel, but the E has the 2 dots over it.
Wait. 1 L in the Allison or 2? I'm looking her up on Instagram to see if she's still writing.
Allyson. I'm so bad about knowing how to pronounce things, but that was in 2009. And this book spent 34 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list for children's books.
Guys, her bio, she's active on Instagram still. Manifester, time traveler, Summerland tour guide.
Okay, she has a new series that came out. And when I saw that it came out maybe like a year or 2 ago, I pre-ordered a copy, a signed copy. So I have it on my shelf. I've never read it, but this one is time travel. She's got very far-fetched ideas. But how interesting is that we have, I still have these books. I want to reread. I think that'd be really interesting to see if we remember things the way that they were.
Wait. So I'm looking at her Instagram, guys, and it appears that she makes little shorts based off scenes in her books. You know, like the shorts that you watch on TikTok in Renaissance You.
Oh, no. Like the shorts that are like, you're marrying my sister.
This was what Elodie does. She makes you feel like you hang out with her long enough. Is this AI? This is not
okay. She used to do. If I remember this correctly, I used to follow her too because I liked her books. So I feel like she used to have little short videos to bring you to her books. So maybe that's
what she's still doing. On that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, she was ahead of her time, and now she's kind of in it. So that's interesting. So I think also, with Stephanie Meyer, I used to be on her website every day. I would check for upcoming news. There was also, this feels like a fever dream. One of the first times that I remember going to a website and reading book reviews, I thought it was this website called yareads.com. And you could see upcoming young adult reads and reviews of them. And I loved it. I would be at school and I would be on there scrolling through and making lists of books I wanted to read. But now when I Google that, there's nothing. It's a GoDaddy site that you can buy. So I'm was that a dream? I feel like maybe I don't remember the name.
What if it was just Goodreads?
If it's what?
And you were on a sector of Goodreads that was for YA books.
I'm actually pretty upset because there are people that got into it at that time. If my brain would have been oh, you love this, you should try to do this, I could literally have arcs of
everything.
A Court of Thorns and Roses.
You were a child. It's okay.
This is what's wrong with me. I feel I'm already behind because I didn't do these things. But I could have had a vast knowledge of books that were coming out and
get an ACOTAR arc. Brother, you were 13. Like, what were you going to do with that?
I don't know. I mean, it probably would have been trash.
Yes, fairies. Very good.
Were you not 13 when you read it for the first time?
But also we were two very different 13-year-olds.
I feel like the first time I read ACOTAR, it was definitely, I had graduated with my master's.
You were clutching
I
your
was
pearls
like-
still, though.
Well, what? I read it for the first time, too. I was 26. And you were 13?
No, okay. Are we going into my origin?
Yeah, let's go to yours.
So it kind of made a massive jump for me. We went to a super rural school system. There was one high school, one middle school, and our library was kind of lacking. But one thing they did have was Cassandra Clare, and that was crack for me. I would draw. I don't know if anybody's read those. They were really big. It was City of Bones and the Clock in the Infernal Devices series. Okay.
Yeah.
And these weren't small books. Like, the first book in the series was like 500, 600 pages long.
I'm looking. So
Yeah.
City of Bones it was 2007. I never read those.
Haven't. They had like just gotten to our library when I started reading them. They hadn't been checked out a lot. Just because we were in a small town and didn't have as much access to new releases, so it would take 5 to 10 years. It really would. So when was I in 5th grade? 2014.
Okay.
That's when I started reading the Infernal Devices and the City of Bones series. Any Cassandra Clare book I could get my hands on. In those books, there were things called runes, and think of like word marks in Sarah J. Maas. That was the same thing, except she also wrote something called the Shadowhunters Codex, which had how to draw the runes and what the runes did. So, was I that person in middle school walking around with runes? Yeah, I was.
Were you really?
Yeah. Did I make everybody that I knew read those books? Yeah, I did.
This is very interesting because we have like a 7 or 8 year age gap between us. So, like, when she was in 5th grade, I was graduating.
I was in 5th grade at the height of Tumblr and the height of fan edits of books, and so also, as soon as I finished those 2 series, baby girl, Throne of Glass was coming out, and yeah, I got my hands on that.
So, wait. Okay, so 2014 when was Throne of Glass released?
It was like 2012 is when the first Throne of May, or 2016, right around there.
Let me look. Okay, we're gonna get 2012. Yeah. So 2014, it was good in the library.
Because I remember them coming out. I remember the other books like coming out. The later books in the series, I was waiting for at least a year for one of them to come into our library. And I was the only person that I knew that had ever read that. There wasn't a lot of stuff online for it, I feel like, when I was like, because I would like go on Pinterest and look up Throne of Glass funny meme or something crazy like that, you know.
What kind of meme do you want about it?
It was just like, I can't remember the exact words, but
I bet I could
pull up my Pinterest and find Throne of Glass fan art and memes from those years.
I just think that's so interesting because of the fact that you didn't put this on my radar at all. What, do you not think I wanted to read this?
I put you on Michaela, but also it was kind of like I was scared to tell you that I was reading.
Did you not tell me one time that you were hiding books in your backpack?
So last week, Michaela talked about not reading Harry Potter, not watching Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Babes, I was sneaking that crap into my backpack and reading it when my mom and dad would go to bed. I was like, I have to read this.
We are so different.
You know how hard it is to sneak an 800-page book home? It was so crazy. I was so into reading that my parents wouldn't ground me from like technology. They would ground me from reading. And they probably should have monitored when I was reading a little better. Because I met Rowan at 14.
That's dangerous.
It gave me wild expectations of what life should be like.
I feel like I've tried to touch... Did I touch last episode on the expectations you get from romance and stuff? Yeah, I couldn't imagine reading about Rowan and men from books and it's so different. As a kid, you don't know. But yeah, you should have been monitored.
Okay. Should have been monitored, but glad I wasn't.
I'm glad.
Because I was a pioneer. I did pave that path. Every girl in the CCHS that I knew and was friends with. I made a book club just to make people read those books.
Like, do we want to talk? Didn't you do like a cosplay account for books? Do we want to talk about that? Because I remember, I remember scrolling through and being like, "What is happening?"
So if we're gonna talk about that, then yeah, I guess I did cosplay Percy Jackson characters.
I feel like that's a pioneer. That honestly,
I wasn't a pioneer,
small.
but also people that I used to like be mutuals with on cosplay are TikTok famous now. I don't know. There's a redheaded girl on TikTok. I can't remember if her name is Ashley or Ansley. No, it's something like Ashley or Ansley. She's funny and she does like acting gigs now. But we were mutuals on cosplay. She was like 20. I was 13, 12. You know, I would edit my pictures. Because I would secretly take them in the back of Mom's office, and I would edit them on Perfect 365.
Oh my gosh, that was the best.
I was the best Athena cosplayer in the Instagram realm.
Honestly, you were doing pretty good. It was
pretty slay. I mean, yeah, it was cringe, Michaela. I was in 6th grade.
Yeah, okay.
And I would keep it. It was such a big secret. Oh,
this is just so crazy to me because I think we are so different. Like I told you, I don't read Harry Potter. We were told we couldn't read or watch it. I haven't. I'm 28. I still have not read or watched it because I'm like, what will my mom say? Like I don't want to. It's like I don't smoke weed because what if my parents ask me one day if I've done that? And now I can say no, I never have, and I could be telling the truth. What if one day they're like, "Did you ever read Harry Potter?"
I'll be like, "Yeah, I did."
And they'll be like,
"Good."
We're so disappointed.
No, they'd say, "Witch, she's a witch."
Witch. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. No, I guess that's very interesting. But I remember when I started reading ACOTAR, and I told you, like, I didn't know that you had ever read it. And I had been in Texas at the time.
Said, "Hey, baby girl, I've read it twice."
Yeah, I was like, I'm reading the best book. You probably love it. And you're like, what is it? And I was like, it's A Court of Thorns and Roses. And you were like, what the heck?
I said, oh, yeah, have you met...
No, you spoiled it. You spoiled Throne of Glass for me. I remember, you don't remember this. If you've not read it, plug your ears or skip this
Don't
part.
say it. Don't say it then. We'll talk about that later.
No.
I don't want you to spoil it. Skip ahead.
I'm not going to spoil it. Skip ahead. Okay? Don't listen
Trigger
to this
warning.
part. Trigger
Spoilers.
Warning. Literally, after I finished ACOTAR, I was like, I'm going to read Throne of Glass. And Haley goes, okay, skip this part. She goes, oh, okay, so you've met Aelin already? I'm like, why would you say that? Also, I accidentally spoiled it for someone the other day, I think. She had posted...
It's so hard.
It's so hard.
Now you realize how hard it is.
I just assume that everybody posts about it and they're doing rereads of it. Like me. Like I reread it. And so this girl had posted being like, Assassin's Blade, tell me who your favorite character is. And I was like, I just love Aelin. And she was like, can't wait to meet her. And I was like, should I tell her? She literally already knows her.
I feel like people think it's a side character.
Well, you don't know. The thing about Sarah J. Maas books, like, nobody spoils it. I love that about the community because, like, when I read ACOTAR for the first time, no one spoiled it for me. Like, you just get to live in your delusion. I just love that. That's so sweet.
I feel like that's true. But also, like, it wasn't like, you know, at the lunch table in high school when you're like gossiping about like, oh, I have a crush on this boy. No, I was tabbing pages in ACOTAR to read to my friends, and I was like, Reese, guys, get on. Yeah, I was
were they reading it? Like,
yeah,
did they read it?
I had several friends that because they were all like on like Cinder and stuff, and like Cinder, which was like that cyborg thing. It was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then I was like, guys, guess what?
You were in a different world.
Because I read Throne of Glass in middle school and ACOTAR in high school.
Yeah.
Because I think it wasn't in the middle school library, probably because the books that were coming out of Throne of Glass still weren't like spicy or anything. And I still feel like Throne of Glass is still not a spicy it's like minute.
But now that you're an adult and you know what's in the books, do you feel like you should have been able to read them at that age?
I feel like if they were I don't know. I don't really care, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think it did damage to me, and I don't think I changed any because of it. Like I don't know.
It's a weird thing for me. I get stuck on that sometimes because I'm like, I was reading these books at like 12 or 13. Like Twilight isn't super spicy, but like seeing a child read it now, I'd probably be like, man, like, you probably don't need to read that. Because Breaking Dawn, they have sex, it's marital sex, so we're gonna allow it.
That's what Mom allowed. So,
Yeah, that's what we're allowed. But that was our mom took us to the midnight premiere. Haley didn't get to come, she was little.
I remember that.
Yeah, we got to go to every midnight premiere, and Breaking Dawn was just like insane for her. But she kind of was like, okay,
she was kind of shell shocked.
Yeah, she was shell shocked. Like, you guys read this, and all of our little friends were with us, and Mom was just like,
everybody screamed and stuff.
Has everyone read this? Like, you've read what's happening on the screen. This is warped. Yeah, she's funny. But okay, so we talked about kind of our origins into reading. Tell me, okay, so you were talking about City of Bones or City of Glass or whatever that
City of Everything, Fallen Angels. It's City of Bones, there's like 8
You were reading
books.
About angels?
Yeah. The only reason I know like some of the biblical stuff is because of this book series.
Wait, it's actually biblical?
It's the Nephilim, which is the angels that came down from heaven and bred with Earth's people and created like superhuman.
Okay, you're bold for that because I don't read books that make me like,
because then I would go and look up like Bible verses about Nephilim or whatever it was,
really?
And it would say stuff like that. So I was like, okay, Cassandra Clare.
Okay, so I was telling Haley, like, she didn't know this for the longest time, but like, I did not. Even Crescent City for me now. I haven't said this, but even Crescent City for me now, I'm like, man, is this okay to read? Because like, I don't like. I can do like the fictional stuff, but the angels versus demons, I'm kind of like, man, it's like good versus evil, right? And so when I was a kid, I don't know if you guys have read the Fallen series. Is that even it? It's a book about.
It is. She's got.
Is it Hush Hush? Oh, it's Hush Hush. It's Hush Hush because it's the guy fallen. Like it's the guy with the wings on the front. And when I was a kid, I had got this book to read. This was 2009 too. So this was 2008 and 2009 were just big years. But I had got the book and I was excited to read it. I started it and I was so surprised because I felt like it was sacrilegious. Is that the right word?
But also I feel like you're really susceptible to anything mentioning any form of anything biblical. Automatically you're driven.
I'm careful about it. So in New Moon, when Bella told Edward, you can have my soul, I don't want it, I was like, I cannot read this. Like, I was like, you cannot give your soul away, girl. And so I stopped the book for a long time, and then I was kind of like, am I overreacting?
You look up how to save Bella Swan's soul.
I think recently, though, I've kind of had the thought that maybe I have religious OCD, which I'm not diagnosed with, but I am a therapist. So I'm like, maybe this is something. But I mean, I feel like I can cope with it now because I know different skills and because I just know things that I didn't then. But yeah, I'm very careful about reading things that are kind of religious.
I think that's valid.
I think that's valid. Okay. Was there any other series that shaped you that you want to talk about?
Percy Jackson. I feel like a part of me didn't finish that, but it was good. But I remember loving like the basis of it, and I love the movies.
Was there not a new one recently? Or
Percy Jackson?
Yeah?
Yeah, I didn't read it though.
Is it a new book or is it a new movie?
There's going to be a new movie, I think.
Oh, okay.
With more like age, because that's my thing. Like in the Percy Jackson books, they were like 11 and 12. They were kids. In the movies, they were like 17.
That's pretty crazy. So wait,
like it wasn't like almost adults walking into that Lotus Hotel or casino and getting like high on the food.
That
it was like
happened?
Children, yeah.
Oh my gosh, those movies were so good.
Yeah, imagine 12-year-olds doing all that.
Oh my gosh, I didn't ever think about that. So that is a young adult series.
That's truly, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I still to this day have not read any like Fault in Our Stars, anything like that.
So that also was another... So
Looking for Alaska. John Green, I've never read any of that.
He also had the books around like 2008 and 2009. What a time to be alive. Because we had like Twilight.
But did I still repost? Okay. Yeah.
How about okay is our always or something? What is it? I don't know.
Put the killing thing between your teeth and bite it. I remember that one.
We just had, honestly, it's like...
It was nostalgic. Everything.
It was just everything.
At least we don't have like... We were too young to get tattoos and stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't make any like bookish tattoo.
that would have been crazy. I would have got runes tattooed on my body from
I still don't
Mortal
get
Instruments.
So the runes, was it like?
So it was like they were like, okay, half angel, so they already were like powerful people. Think of it like superhumans. Like they were faster, they were stronger, they were hotter. But the runes, like, you know how the stones in Akatar and stuff hone their powers?
Yeah.
That's what the runes did. So there was a rune for healing, a rune for speed, a rune for this, a rune for that. So I would sit in class, look through the Shadowhunter Codex. I would be like, I want a rune for studying. I would draw that on my homework, guys.
Your drawings are so funny. We were cleaning out your room not long ago. Whenever we were moving stuff, like me and our mom were cleaning it out. And I feel like I opened a book and it had a drawing of like a vampire or something in it from when you were a kid. It was just it's so funny. I don't know why. But it was just so funny to see. And you were always drawing the craziest stuff. So now it's like, okay, it was from books. I feel like Haley has a history with books. Like she, as a kid, was like working at the library.
It's a little fun fact about me. I have a backstory, guys. I volunteered at our local public library, and by volunteered, I think our mom just dropped me off one day in the summer, and I kept going back every day. I was 10. I was 10 years old. I was stocking bookshelves at the public library at 11.
And that was so strange.
And I was like clocking in, like it was my job.
You really clocked in?
No, I mean, like, I would like, another long day, I would walk in and put my stuff in the lunchroom and like get ready, take my jacket off, put a name tag on. I would do it. I would work there.
You were working there.
I knew the computer system for the library at like 12.
That is so crazy. And how long did you do that?
Till I was 18 years old.
I was gonna say you were there for years in the library, and she would always come. I
went to the librarian's retirement party.
Yeah, your friends were old women.
It was a good time. And they let me pick the books out for the young adult section.
That's so fun.
I'm the one that got them Throne of Glass and Akatar. They would give me a limit of how many books and how much money in books I could spend, and I would buy.
That's so interesting because libraries actually get advanced copies, so you could have had your hands on that.
Michaela actually has one of the out-of-print copies of Court of Frost and Starlight because it was a library book.
Don't say that.
Okay, cut that out.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Like I said, we cleaned Haley's room, like her childhood room. We were moving stuff out, and I guess she had a bunch of books on her shelf there, and some of them got moved to our house. And I was looking
they wouldn't buy multiple copies of these books.
Yeah, and I was looking through them one day, and I'm like, what the heck? It was like a pristine copy.
It was a library copy, so that means it was laminated completely around the original paper cover.
Which is gross, because those covers are so thin.
Yeah.
And it kind of like... So, did we keep the book? I mean, I haven't returned it yet. It's been like, how long?
5 years.
5 years.
21 minus 18.
Did you get it?
I probably got that when I was like 16.
Yeah, you've had that for a while. So they've probably already replaced it. Nobody tell them it's missing.
You don't know where it's at anyway, so it's okay. No, like the listeners.
Yeah,
I don't know where.
Don't say that. They'll figure it out.
Find us. I'm kidding.
Okay, but so we just wanted to talk today about origin stories, and if you have one, if you have some books that you started with, comment, let us know. Like I said, Haley is on Bookstagram, and you have a TikTok too?
I have a TikTok, but it's more of like a personal TikTok, but I post, like, it's not niche at all, so it's just like if you like nature, crochet, books, music.
Yeah, but you can find her mostly on Instagram. What's your Instagram again?
Haley's Good Books, and that's Hailey, as in Haley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Haley's Good Books. And actually, I'm so surprised.
She'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description. I'm so surprised that, like, you have more of a bookish history than me, but I made a Bookstagram before you.
I think it's because you made a Bookstagram while I was actively, like, in person in college, and I could not focus on reading at all.
I think that, and honestly, you've probably read more books than me in the past. Well, I reached 100 maybe last year. This year I feel like I'm at like 30. If
I'm at like
even.
25.
Yeah. Well,
I'm like 8 books behind schedule. I don't know if it's going to happen for me.
what's your goal this year?
65.
65? That's a pretty good goal, though. I had 100 as my goal, and I literally hit 100 that year and was like, I'm never setting another goal.
Yeah.
Because it became more of like it was so stressful. Like, I was having to stay up late. Like, it wasn't a fun thing because I was like, I have to do this.
And I'm just like, all the books I like to read are not for me in the mental space I'm in right now.
Yeah.
If I read an Emily Henry book currently, psych ward.
What does she like? You've read her books. I've
Yeah.
never read Emily Henry,
She's really good.
which people are
And she
surprised
lives
by.
relatively close.
Is she in Ohio?
She's in like Cincinnati.
Oh, I've heard that.
Yeah. She like is in her like bio that she frequents the part of Kentucky just beneath.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who else is nearby? I feel like Jennifer L. Armentrout is in like West Virginia. Like people are. Don't say unfortunately. She's our queen.
Not my queen.
Okay, did you like From Blood and Ash?
The plot of the first From Blood and Ash, book 1. Book 1 was fine. Yeah, it was good. I liked it. Book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No. I did not like
how
it.
How far did you actually get?
I actually blacked out, and I think I read that whole series on accident up until like the last 1 or 2.
It's so good.
It's not.
Are you not? Okay, so you're not going to keep reading them.
I've not DNF'd a series except that one.
That blows. See, we're sisters, but we're so different because I don't stand for JLA slander.
I'm not going to say I would run a Facebook group against her because I wouldn't do that for anybody, but I'm just saying good authors don't have to give a magical world running water in one city and one city only for a shower smut scene. I don't think that's necessary. I think she could have found a good waterfall.
That was hilarious. I don't know if you guys have read that series, but what Haley's talking about is one scene in the book. Like, apparently it's like this, you know, like there's not really
it's
running
old
water.
World. It's
old
like
world.
Primitive. Like,
and then Castile's like, we can't wait to show you our
Showers.
homeland. And she's like, what's a shower? And then they have sex in the shower.
He shows her how to shower for the first time.
Yes.
This girl's never seen running water.
That was crazy.
And I don't know if they have electricity. I think it's like lamplight still.
Yeah.
How are they heating the water? How are they running the water?
That's hilarious to even think about. She kind of just was like, what do people want? A shower scene? Okay. Not like where? And okay, the one complaint I have about her series and her writing is too much smut.
Yeah.
There's a limit. There has to be a limit. I feel like
plot
it's too much.
Was fabulous, and I wish she could like give that. You know how like songwriters will write a song's chorus and then sell that. I wish authors could do that, and they might do that. You know, is that what ghostwriting is? I don't know. Like you give them an idea and they kind of run with it. I like wish she would have done that, and I wish she would have given it to Sarah J. Maas.
Okay, so she is a Sarah J. Maas fan because in her acknowledgments in book number 1, she talks about Sarah J. Maas. I think she talks about like, thank you Sarah J. Maas for whatever, and I'm like, okay, so she's a fan of hers.
Okay, so take notes.
Did you know though? Okay, I don't know if I covered this in the last one either, but authors are getting a lot of flack lately because people are saying they're stealing Sarah J. Maas's ideas.
I mean, she literally is the blueprint, though. Okay,
but she's read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi.
She read like a lot of like, I don't know the actual like genre description, but I'll think of it as like Fabio romances, but fantasy. Like, there was one, like, The White King or The White Knight or something. Do you remember seeing that book where it was, like, it's rumored that Sarah J. Maas based her stuff? Well, anyways, and it's also just, like, Rebecca Yarros. Like, that girl can't write to save her life, in my great opinion, you know, as if it matters. But I just don't.
Okay, so the first
book, loved, ate it up. Second book, I think ChatGPT wrote that.
Okay.
I think she sat down and said, what will they like? How can I get this out as fast as possible?
I do think that book number 2 was a money grab. in a like the least offensive way
And I'm like,
possible.
good for her. She did it right. Like, she played her cards fabulously.
But here's what I'm very confused about. So book number 1 came out. The film rights for it were bought like, automatically. And the series is not even finished. So they bought the rights to make the film, but they don't even know how the storyline's going to go.
And in interviews, it's like, what are you planning for blah, blah, blah. She's just like, girl, I don't know. Like,
yeah, she's like...
And I don't know, and it doesn't feel like her avoiding the question because she's wanting to keep it a secret. It feels like her, like, jotting it down in her brain, like, oh, they want to hear this. Like,
yeah, her facial expression even is kind of like, wow, I
wish we could get, like, a psychologist to, like, study her micro expressions during interviews. I think she has it in her. If she made that first book, she can do it again.
That's the thing, though. How long did that take her to make? I think she's wanting it done quicker than, she doesn't want to wait. And she thinks that she'll lose her fan base if they have to wait. But Sarah J. Maas has waited. We've waited for years for her.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, so we're still waiting. And I would rather, Sarah J. Maas did an interview where she said that she wrote the entire Crescent City, was it 2 or 3? I think Crescent City 2. She finished it. They were like, this isn't you. Scrap the whole thing. And she rewrote it.
Yeah, and she took the time to. And I also think that is because she built it up for so many years. Like, she started Throne of Glass when she was, 16? Was when she started writing that book. Her plan was not to make as much money as humanly possible from the series, but she is the most, she is a very successful, if not the most successful modern fantasy writer.
So she has over 1 million followers on Instagram, if that means anything. Rebecca Yarros was still in the 700,000s, and I was kind of a little confused about that because, like, the way that Fourth Wing blew up, it felt like way more people were reading it. Like, 700,000 is a lot, but for how many editions she has out, and
and that's another thing. There's just now becoming special editions of Throne of Glass and ACOTAR.
Yeah.
And it's book 1 and 2. It's not Christmas edition. That's another bone I have to pick with JLA. It's every edition. I'm still seeing Christmas editions or the little red editions of From Blood and Ash.
Okay, that's different.
Is it?
It's different.
Is it different?
So Fourth Wing Holiday Edition,
that's crazy.
A money grab.
That was nuts. And people, guess what, bought it.
Even the bookstore worker at our local bookstore, the closest mall, he had said one time, like, he had said something like, it's just crazy. People will still buy these up. It's the same words, just a different cover.
It's sucks. And it's the same thing with the sprayed edges, insanity. Like, guys, that's crazy.
I love a good sprayed edge, but I think that it's overkill.
And for her to speed run it, that second book release, and claim it was not sprayed because it would take so long. Girl, if your first book sold that many copies that fast, trust me, baby, they're gonna get that book sprayed if you want it to be sprayed. I think it would have lost more money than what she was wanting to get it sprayed.
Yes. So I think, like, when Fourth Wing first came out, obviously she had the dragon sprayed edges, which go for like $300 now.
And I remember seeing that and being like, yeah.
I know. I remember seeing that and being like, it's pretty, but, like, I don't know if I would even like it. But then after I knew it was getting bought up, I was like, man, I have to get a copy now because they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
And so we were on vacation somewhere, and I asked the bookstore there, and they were kind of like, no, we've been out of it. And, that was the first print run, and they're just not going to redo that. And then I was kind of kicking myself, like, I should have jumped on the Fourth Wing bandwagon. I was seeing it for a while on Bookstagram before it blew up. There'd be, like, pieces here and there.
Yeah.
But then it was everyone reading it. It was just insanity. But
yeah, that was actually crazy. And it was just like, I read it, and then I was like, yeah, it's good.
What makes it different? Like, why do you think people have this kind of
I don't think it's different. And I think it's, like, also, it's a lot of, like, it's just how people hop. Also, don't hate me for this. I have a lot of controversial opinions this episode. Colleen Hoover. I can't say that she's not up to the hype because I've never read one of her books, but it's giving the same thing. Does that make sense? Like, it's the same genre of person obsessed with that. Does that make sense? Like, it's people, if you read Throne of Glass and still think Fourth Wing is better, guys, check yourself in. I'll pay your bill for the psych ward. That is concerning. That is
Yeah.
sickening. That is disgusting. Sorry.
Okay, no shame though, because there are a lot of people that prefer Fourth Wing, which is kind of like confusing, but also everybody has their own things they like. Just like Colleen Hoover has a big fan base,
And I get that. And it is for a certain group of people. Like, that's what they like to read. And I like Michaela was saying, just from what I've seen online, I don't think it's made for me. And that's okay.
Is it the big balls?
Yep. Well, yeah, how'd you know? Anyways, but Fourth Wing doesn't do it for me. Am I still gonna read the third book? Yeah, what's it called? Like Onyx Blaze of His Eyes or something crazy like that.
Yeah, Onyx
like,
Fire?
Onyx Fire. Isn't that
Onyx
Flame?
I don't know. Onyx.
No, it wouldn't be Onyx unless she's doing the JLA thing where she switches the names of her books around.
Onyx Storm.
Onyx Storm, because
okay, what's the summary for it? I'm looking it up. So it picks up right where the last book ended, throwing readers back into the chaotic world of the Empyrean. The story continues with, remind me of her little sweet dragon's name.
And darn and a rhyme.
Yeah. Who has
Fake
evolved
Gaelic.
a lot.
Fake Gaelic. You heard it here first, guys.
Who has evolved a lot since we first met her. As the plot unfolds, she faces new challenges and uncovers deeper mysteries about her origins and the place in the world. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't even remember now what happened in those books. But I wasn't blown away.
It wasn't blowing away. I said, okay, yeah, obviously. That's what happened. You know, there's just some plot twists that I've bared witness to. I don't know if that's the proper word. That changed the outlook of how you view other books. Throne of Glass, yeah.
That's your number one season.
There's no, and people who are like, I could tire over Throne of Glass. You just like Reese. You just like a black-headed man. Just talk about Lorcan for a second and you'll get on that train. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm Akatar over Throne of Glass. But I like more of a romance subplot. I just love a romance subplot over war. Also over death and dying.
Also,
that was heart-wrenching.
There's parts of Throne of Glass that I can't talk about or look at or watch videos of.
That's
or
dramatic.
I'm going to throw up, guys, thinking about it. It's distressing, to say the least. But it's what I need. Anyways, that's my origin story. Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
Sorry
joining
we keep
us.
talking over each other. That's just kind of our skit.
Yeah, this is our thing
Shtick.
we do. Okay. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys got something from today's episode.
Oh yeah.
We jumped around a lot, but leave a comment. Let me know, what was your origin?
If you have beef with me, DM me on Instagram and we'll handle it. Love you.
She's had a lot of unpopular opinions, but that's in the tagline. We do unpopular opinions, unreleased books.
You came here for, and I'm serving.
Yeah,
hard.
she's serving. She's serving something. But thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
Bye.